how you feel about opposition leaders really taking up this cause. Over the weekend, we saw Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi land up there. We saw Trinamool Congress, men, women. These are, and if you look at it from the caste angle, which you're making us aware of, then, you've been very critical of Rahul Gandhi in the past as well. How do you think that the opposition leaders have been effective in shining a light on such atrocities? Have they been effective?
These people who are really interested, or they really want to work for against atrocities on Dalits, they should really start cleaning their house. They should start expelling their own members who are accused of crimes against Dalits. You will notice Congress is a feudal party. They are the one who are responsible for feudalizing the politics, where feudal, erstwhile they were not really much. These were all Shudras working on land. But of course, by making them politically sensitive, the reason it was, and I write in the book as well, was to control Dalits, because Dalit rebellion, because of Ambedkar, was becoming very, very, important, and it would have been a challenge in its extent. That's why you will not see big Shudra leaders in original Congress party. These are basically Brahmins or the Kayast or Baniyas to the maximum. And then you have Musalmans, the elite Musalmans, what we call Ashraf, the dominant caste Musalmans, who some of them of course left to Pakistan. So this was how it was framed, and other regional political parties. Regional political parties in India are mostly feudal parties because they want to control the labor. And so even though zamindari is abolished, even though slavery is abolished, we have so many things that have abolished, but the mindset has not been willing to cope. Sunetra, here's the thing: what happened? I think it happened perhaps in Switzerland or somewhere. I don't remember. I was staying where the council passed a law about something. I think it was about some garbage, and next day onwards there were flyers and citizens implemented it. It at one point it sounded irrational. I was like, why do you want to even do this? But the point is, people were like, we will disagree, but we will accept because it's the law.
Yes.
India, you can find someone who can bail you. You can find a judge, or you can corrupt an investigating officer, and you can get your way. So that's why the whole corruption is basically a caste extension of caste networking. And caste networking then works in a sophisticated savvy language of bribe and all of that, but it's essentially trying to protect your caste men and women. And this is exactly what is happening, as we are seeing so spectacularly.
So we've seen Chandrasekhar Azad, who's known as Ravan, in the last few days. But people seem to be, there's a little. I don't know whether that's the dominant narrative or not, but there has been. I'm very curious to know what you think about whether she's being an effective politician at a time when everyone's talking about this particular case.
I mean, indeed, I think BSP is a huge political party. It's probably, it's not probably, it's the third largest political party in India, and so we should not doubt that that political party is ineffective, or the leader of that party is ineffective. She is the most powerful Dalit, and if you look at she is the most powerful woman politician of India.
Yes.
Her network. I mean, the people who comment on this have no idea how BSP works, because they just know they are just used to feudal capitalist politics, and feudal capitalist politics is all about spectacle and daily dangling. It's all the glitter and shine, what kind of shows, and how well you speak English, what kind of vocabularies you deploy in your writings, and how posh, quote unquote, you mimic America or the Western world in your discourse. And that's how we estimate and assess. And that's why some nobodies like the English speaking Derek O'Brien or Shashi Tharoor just becomes like the scion of the India's progress. But politics doesn't work like that. It is about representing people's aspirations and wishes. Mayawati is that aspiration that she does, and whatever and the point is, her networks are so rooted all across India. I don't know about Northeast recently, but if you look at the across India, her party cadres are full mobilized, and they are very politically active. BSP contest almost all elections in all the state and municipal corporations. So that's the kind of response we have to see, that Mayawati is also UP leader, but also Mayawati is a national leader. We can't compare, because see, every media person has asked me, do you think Azad or Mayawati? And I said, you're making irrelevant comparisons. Mayawati is a heavily critical of BJP RSS. In the wake of Rohit Vemula incident, she was the only politician who walked out of house and said and bid adieu for her Rajya Sabha seat. So that's the kind of integrity we are talking about.
I want to ask you, is there scope? Do you feel that there is good representation, or would you like to see a new age Dalit leader emerge? Is what I'm trying to ask you. It's not. We all know, Mayawati's contribution to politics, and what she has been through. But I wanted to ask you: is there space? Because what's interesting is that she hasn't been winning the last few elections. So help us understand what's happening there. Is there an aspiration in the community which Mayawati is not fulfilling?
Now, I like your question. The one before this was, is there a scope for new young leadership?
Yes, yes.
And I like that question. And that question merits a detailed kind of analytical response. And of course, a new generation has to come up. A new generation has to be nurtured. Now we have to understand, BSP is not a student party. They don't have the student wing, they don't have the youth wing, they don't even have the women wing. They are very strict in how they operate, and they produce results, right? In talking about elections, she still had the most number of Dalit votes. That means she has not lost. The Dalits are still rock solid behind her. It's just that the equations of caste have changed. And the people from the dominant caste who would always, or because of a Sarvajan policy, would stand by her, because political equation is different than, let's say, what you have in Gujarat or Maharashtra, where the Brahmins are approximately a sizable population, at least 10% of that kind of vote. So they immediately went to their kins in BJP RSS without even thinking about ideology or a progress that the party has done. So that's why that kind of outcome comes to the front. And of course, Mayawati had success in other states, sizable. And you all know, it was Kanshiram's thought, his philosophy, that we will contest elections not always to win. And it's a very profound experiment of parliamentary democracy. No other political party can claim this faith and trust in elections, as well as the people's mandate, where you people are go to win. If they lose, they cry horse, and they are refusing to accept, and you see all kinds of violence happening after that. And the young leadership, Sunetra, it will emerge. It is emerging, and we see this happening in various pockets. Also in South India, because we don't understand the Tamil language, or Malayalam language, or even the Telugu belt. There are also fabulous leaders coming out of that. But the way the assertion takes place, especially by people who can speak English like myself, or people who can speak Hindi like others, because these are like two normally
Yes.
acceptable languages. We kind of and also our ears are used to certain accent, and we expect that accent to come from the leader. When A.K. Antony, who was the then defense minister, would speak, people would not even take him, seriously, because he had that whole accent, and But somebody who speaks in a Sanskritized Hindi, immediately it's like, oh, so there is how, a prop to that, and that's why the young leaders are, of course, there, who are promising, and it happens everywhere. Wherever there is a gap, the gap is filled. It's the law of nature. It's the evolution.